text 4950?
27.
Huh?
30 is on the board.
Okay.
This is on the board.
Okay. Okay. So there's a few verses before that.
27.
Okay. 26. Okay. Wow. Okay. Munaya Ochuhu Autanapada Bhagavangstava Sharngadanva Devakshyanotva Vanatarti Haro Vipakshan Yannamadeyam Abhidhaya Nisham Yachadha Lokonjasatadati Dustaram Angamrityum Otanapada Bhagavangstava Sharngadanva Devakshyanotva Natarti Haro Vipakshan Yannamadeyam Abhidhaya Visham Yachadha Lokonjasatadati Dustaram Angamrityum Otanapada Bhagavangstava Sharngadanva Devakshyanotva Tarti Haro Vipakshan Yannamadeyam Abhidhaya Nisham Yachadha Ladies, come on. One, at least. Munaya Ochuho The sages said, Utanapada, O son of King Utanapada, Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tava, your Sharngadhanva, one who bears the bow called Sharnga, Devaha, the Lord, Kinotu, may he kill, Avananta, of the surrendered soul, Arti, the distresses, Haraha, who removes, Vipakshan, enemies, Yat, whose, Namadeyam, holy name, Abhidhaya, uttering, Nishamya, hearing, Cha, also, Adha, immediately, Lokaha, persons, Anjasa, fully, Tarati, overcome, Dustaram, insurmountable, Anga, O Dhruva, Mrityum, death. Now I'm going to go back before reading the translation. I'm going to go back to where there's no purports because I assume that's where I'm supposed to start. Starting in the purport, and that's the end of the chapter. Text 20. The remaining yakshas who somehow or other were not killed had their limbs cut to pieces by the arrows of the great warrior Dhruva Maharaj. Thus they began to flee just as elephants flee when defeated by a lion. Text 21. Dhruva Maharaj, the best of human beings, observed that in that great battlefield no one, not one, of the opposing soldiers was left standing with proper weapons. He then desired to see the city of Alakapuri, but he thought to himself, no one knows the plans of the mystic yakshas. 22. In the meantime, while Dhruva Maharaj, doubtful of his mystic enemies, was talking with his charioteer, he heard a tremendous sound as if the whole ocean were there. And they found that from the sky a great dust storm was coming over them from all directions. Within a moment, the whole sky was overcast with dense clouds, and severe thundering was heard. There was glittering electric lightning and severe rainfall, my dear faultless Vidura. In that rainfall, there was blood, mucus, pus, stool, urine, and marrow falling heavily before Dhruva Maharaj, and there were trunks of bodies falling from the sky. Imagine. Next, a great mountain was visible in the sky. No such thing. And from all directions, hailstones fell along with lances, clubs, swords, iron bludgeons, and great pieces of stone. Dhruva Maharaj also saw many big serpents with angry eyes, vomiting forth fire and coming to devour him, along with groups of mad elephants, lions, and tigers. There's a wonderful painting of this. Then, as if it were the time of the dissolution of the whole world, the fierce sea with foaming waves and great roaring sounds came forward before him. The demon yakshas are by nature very heinous, and by their demoniac power of illusion, they can create many strange phenomena to frighten one who is less intelligent. When the great sages heard that Dhruva Maharaj was overpowered by the illusory mystic tricks of the demons, they immediately assembled to offer him auspicious encouragement. Now, this morning's text 30. All the sages said, "Dear Dhruva, O son of King Uttanapada, may the Supreme Personality of Godhead, known as Sharanga Danva, who relieves the distresses of his devotees, kill all your threatening enemies. The holy name of the Lord is as powerful as the Lord himself. Therefore, simply by chanting and hearing the holy name of the Lord, many men can be fully protected from fierce death without difficulty. Thus, a devotee is saved." Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The great rishis approached Dhruva Maharaj at a time when his mind was very perplexed due to the magical feats exhibited by the yakshas. A devotee is always protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his inspiration only, the sages came to encourage Dhruva Maharaj and assure him that there was no danger because he was a soul fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. By the grace of the Lord, if a devotee at the time of death can simply chant his holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by chanting this Maha Mantra, he immediately surpasses the great ocean of the material sky and enters the spiritual sky. He never has to come back for repetition of birth and death. Simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can surpass the ocean of death. So, Dhruva Maharaj was certainly able to surpass the illusory magical feats of the yakshas, which for the time being disturbed his mind. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Dhruva Maharaj's Fight with the Yakshas. Is everyone, well, a little background on the previous chapters. Dhruva has already achieved darshan of Lord Vishnu and the benediction of Lord Vishnu, that after ruling his father's kingdom for some long number of 60,000 years, or whatever the number is, he would then go back to Godhead. Dhruva was wanting to go back to Godhead. But because two things, previously he had desired the kingdom and that desire was being fulfilled, but also the personality of Godhead, Vishnu, wanted the world, and his father, Uttanapada, wanted to do what his son did, achieve spiritual perfection like his son did. And so Dhruva ruled. So then The yakshas were being defeated, they disappeared, they have mystic powers. And yakshas, they're a very interesting group of people. They're beyond human, but they're not divine either. It's not easy to understand the yakshas, so I can't say too definitively about them. Besides, they're worshippers of Kuvera. They're under Kuvera's protection, and they have mystic powers, and they can use them at will. And as indicated in what we read, they don't always will with the best interest of another living entity in mind. You know, people that have power and their hearts are not pure, they can misuse that power. Power in the hands of a person without the highest of character is a very dangerous thing. Just like in the world, I mean, not only India, but in the world, technology is very powerful. Yes? Hey, Bangalore is a place of technology. And technology in the hands of people whose hearts are not pure, very dangerous. There's one rendering in Mahabharata when see if I can remember. Some of you may have to help me. Krishna and Arjuna were in a forest. Mayadanava was hiding in the forest, and there was some attempt. Indra was trying to protect him, and so the Agni wanted some herbs that were in the forest. So every time Agni tried to take the herbs from the forest, Indra would stop it. So anyhow, Krishna protected, Arjuna protected Mayadanva? Yes? Mahabharat fans, Mayadanva? He had mystic power. So he came before Arjuna after he was protected. Stopping Indra, he was protected. So Mayadanava came before Arjuna, fell at his feet, and said, I want to reciprocate. You saved my life. I want to do something for you. Now, there's one of the versions of Mahabharata, not all of them. One of them says he offered all of his mystic powers. He's a mystic. And Arjuna looked at Krishna, and Krishna said no. That aren't necessarily good. Krishna said no. But I want to do something. Because now Arjuna's heart is not impure, but something that's very, very powerful has the potential of corrupting even a good person. Now, not Arjuna. You know this nice passage from Ramayana? After Ram takes this vow that he'll kill all the yakshas in the forest that are harassing the sages. Yes? And Sita speaks to Ram, saying, I'm in anxiety. What's that? Even a good person can become corrupted. And she gives three ways that a good person can become corrupted: by falsity, by coveting the wife of another man, or by power. And she says, your word is unbreakable. And I know you have no interest in coveting another woman. But your bow and arrow, you've taken a vow to kill the yakshas, to kill the rakshasas in the forest. But you're on this, position of being in the forest, not in the position of a king, like a mendicant. You're carrying a bow and you're carrying arrows. And power can corrupt. And she tells this story. It's very interesting. Indra started to get nervous. There was one sage in the forest that was becoming very, very powerful, and he thought, oh, maybe he wants to take over my kingdom. So he came disguised as a worldly king, carrying a sword. He found the sage in the forest. He requested the sage, can you hold the sword for me? I'm in the forest. I don't need it right now. And I'll come back. Just keep it for safekeeping. Sure. Some service to a king. So keeping his word, he kept the sword with him whenever he went to take a bath or to gather herbs and berries and things in the forest. And then one fine day, just from holding that sword, he misused the sword and hurt somebody or killed somebody. I forget the detail. So he fell by having that sword in his hand. So you're impeccable, but even good people can be corrupted by power. And she fell silent. This is my anxiety. Wives sometimes give good advice to their husbands. Sometimes they nag, and it's not really good advice, but sometimes they give good advice. So Ram said, your love for me is perfect. No one could speak these words like you've spoken except from out of love. And although it's true that I'm in the forest, I'm the son of Dasrath, and it's the duty of the royal order to give protection to the brahmanas, and I've already given my word. So it's within the codes of Dharma. I've given my word. I will give you my word. I will never use this sword or my bow and arrows other than in keeping with Dharma. You trust my word, there's my word. I will not break my word. So she became peaceful. Now, yakshas have power. And, IT people have power. And there's people in this world that have the fruits of the austerities of developing this and that and the other technology, and their hearts are not pure. Very dangerous. The world has become an even more dangerous place because of that. It's not the development of technology that's in and of itself, the problem. It's the atheism and the absence of character. That's the problem. So what's being done about character development, or establishing the core of how you use everything in the service of the Supreme, who's the source of everything? That's missing. That's a problem. It's a Kali Yuga problem. Now this is Satya Yuga, and it's a problem. Advance in Kali Yuga, and it's a bigger problem. The character is less. The core of the foundational Krishna consciousness, that's the right of every living entity, the natural position of every living entity, it's deteriorated further and further. Prayinal payushak shabya kalabasmin yugejana manda samanda matayo manda bhagya yupadruta. Manda means bad. It's bad and it's bad and it's a bad age. And we all know it's a bad age. What to do? Well, Vyasadeva asked himself the same question, and he knew what to do. He compiled the Vedas, and particularly under the direction of Narada, Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our shelter. Srimad Bhagavatam is our shelter. It's the Janata Agha Viplava. Viplava means like explosion. Viplava. Prabhupada's translation is, it creates a revolution in the impious lives of people of this world. So what should we do? In America, right in a temple program, conducting a seminar, one high school girl, initiated devotee, she's 16. I believe she's a disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj. She's really like very sharp Vaishnavi. So during questions answers, it's relevant to this topic. She said, what to do about gun violence? You know, there's gun violence. Maybe it's not so much reported in India. It's whenever there is a gun violence incident, it's all over the news in America. It's really bad. It's really out of control. So she was sharing, I want to do something. And I imagine it's true here in India as it is in the West. Young people are very moved by what's called social activism or political activism. They want to get involved and stop bad things, environmental bad things, and violence bad things, and abuse bad things, and bad things. Cause social activism, it's called, and political activism. So she has that I want to do something spirit. And then this is in class, question answer. Should I do those things or not? So my answer is sharing with all of you also. Some of you are young, and you know what I'm talking about because young people are concerned about these things. And then some of you are parents, and you have children that are concerned about these things. And some of you are part of a community, and we're one spiritual family. So how do you respond to something like this? I said, supposing this gun violence movement is successful, and the government puts into effect regulations that reduce the abuse of guns. What's the root cause? The root cause is tamagun. Now, gun violence law or gun abuse law doesn't touch the modes of nature. It's going to come out some other way and come out some other way and come out some other way. If it's not in gun violence, it come out some other way. That's no solution. Social activism, political activism is no solution without addressing the root. What's the root? Forgetfulness of Krishna. Isn't it? Bahir Mukha Jeev, in the language of Jiva Goswami, the root cause of material existence. Bahir, we know from the Nrsinga prayers. Bahir Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsinga. Bahir, outside. Bahir Mukha Jeev, living entity turns their attention away from Krishna. That has to be corrected. And if that's not corrected, you have no solution. You have the modes of ignorance and the modes of passion going rampant. More and more so as Kali Yuga progresses. what to do. So I was speaking, you know the root problem. You can go to these people and help them understand what the root problem is. Maybe you'll find somebody that gets it. Maybe you won't. But you're a Vaishnavi. You know the root cause. So connect with these people that are concerned about the political and social cause thing, and then share the transcendental root. She said, I get it. And I believe it because, she's a smart girl, a devotionally smart girl, buddhi. She cares. It's not that we shouldn't care. But where do we take that care, emotion, to the root? It's a dark age. In a world, a universe of darkness, it's the dark age in that universe of darkness. It's not nice and it doesn't get better. Those who take shelter of Bhagavad Dharma, they or we can get reprieve in this age of darkness. And Srimad Bhagavatam already mentioned Bhagavad Arka, this wonderful verse in Canto 1, Chapter 3, towards the end. In this age of Kali, after Krishna has left at the end of Dwarapa Yuga, where will the principles of religion take shelter? That's one of the 6 questions in Canto 1, Chapter 1. The answer is Srimad Bhagavatam. It's poetry. The poetry says, after the sun sets, which way is west and which way is east? Who knows? That's west? Okay. So then over there is east. So after the sun sets on the western horizon, shortly after, the moon may rise on the eastern horizon. And so the sun setting of Krishna's departure in Dwarapa Yuga, shortly thereafter, the moon, as brilliant as the sun, Srimad Bhagavatam, has appeared. Beautiful poetry. And the moon is not as brilliant as the sun, but Srimad Bhagavatam is as brilliant as Krishna. The auspiciousness by Krishna's presence is taken care of by the presence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. In this inauspicious, dark, Manda Samanda Matayo Kali Yuga, Srimad Bhagavatam needs to be widely propagated. And while the sun is very bright, it can be very hot, scorching, burning. But the moon is very cool and soothing, as brilliant as the sun and as cooling as the moon. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm going to end shortly. This is Canto 4. Right in this verse, the conclusion of this Dhruva Maharaj chapter is emphasis on the chanting of the name. Specifically, the name and Shargadhanva, Krishna, the wielder of his Sharnga bow, gives protection to one who calls his name. They're saying it's very gentle. These are sages. Munaya uchuhu. They're just gesturing. Dhruva, chant the name. Because by chanting the name, you will be protected by all of this mystical feat of the yakshas. And we, devotees, will be protected by the abuse of technology and every other thing that's powerful in this world in the hands of people that are victims of Kali Yuga. And we're in their midst. if your light's on, you know very well, not just, the roads in Bangalore are terrible and all kinds of other things that you can complain about. All the noise of the construction and air pollution and, all of those things are, they're unhealthy and unwholesome and, not nice. But far more dangerous is technology in the hands of people that have no character. That's big dangerous. And they don't want character either. They want power. Divine and Demoniac chapter, Bhagavad Gita. What to do? Propagate Srimad Bhagavatam and propagate the holy name. Go to the root. You may be involved in something that is helping people develop character and control their anger and their violence and their abusiveness and those kinds of things. But without the root, it's no solution. We're not exactly being part of the problem. We're not part of the solution either. Devotees are very important people in this world. Brahmana Vaishnavas are very important people in this world. According to first canto Bhagavatam, again and again and again and again and again, emphasis is laid in Prabhupada's purports, the necessity of having such population in the world for the upliftment of people in general. One concluding remark. I think it's profound that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his inauguration of the Yuga Dharma, because that's one of his purposes in making his appearances, it was time for the Yuga Dharma, the beginning of Kali Yuga. So he performed that function of establishing the Yuga Dharma. Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama Eva Kevalam. Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva Gatiranyata. He did that function. But the function has its root in Srimad Bhagavatam. There was criticism by the Smartas that this is a new religion. Nimai is ruining Hindu Dharma. Who ever heard of this? Well, the authority for it is very clear. Again and again and again and again in Srimad Bhagavatam. The authority is very clear. And of all the authorities within the Vedas, consult Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, the superlative authority, the topmost pramana, is Srimad Bhagavatam. Amongst the Aparushaya Shabda pramana, the Srimad Bhagavatam is topmost. Very, very clearly laid out. And in this authority, Srimad Bhagavatam, the name, right here, right in this verse, is for this age. It's the Yuga Dharma for this age, the authority of it. This is Satya Yuga. And the name is important in Satya Yuga. The sages are calling upon Dhruva to chant the name. Same in Satya Yuga. Dhruva previously was told by Narada Muni, chant the name. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's not only a Kali Yuga thing, but in Kali Yuga, the other options are depleted and depleted and depleted in terms of efficacy. Doesn't mean that we don't do those things. Yagyas, last night, we do yagyas. Deity worship, we do deity worship. Meditation, we do meditation. And meditation is upon the holy name, and deity worship is accompanied with the chanting of the holy name. And sacrifice is accompanied with chanting of the holy name. It's the chanting of the holy name. In Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says, any one of the 9 processes, but they must be accompanied by the name. And it's like big section. And he knows what the doubters say, and he brings up, he doesn't hide it. He says, doubters will say this, and he defeats it on the strength of the authority of Scripture. We must chant the holy name. Not just chant the holy name, take shelter of the holy name. So Dhruva became perplexed. We may, if Dhruva can become perplexed, what about us? He saw this mystic thing of the yakshas, etc., etc. A mountain in the sky. There's no such thing. It's a mystical apparition. And from the transcendental perspective of Hare Krishna devotees that have heard and Srinvanti, Gayanti, Grananti, Sadhavaha, have taken the Srimad Bhagavatam within, there's this display of a very scary culture around us. It's dangerous, and we're right in the middle of it. We'd be foolish to think otherwise. Fool's paradise. Oh, it's nice. I have a good education, I have a good job, I'm making lots of money, and I'm doing some Hare Krishna thing over there too on the side because it helps me be successful. No. We're in a dangerous place with a dangerous culture. We need to take shelter of that which is the root of the solution and propagate it for our own protection and for the well-being of others. This is our life as devotees. For those that are sincere and serious, these two words Prabhupada uses together, sincere and serious, we take it to heart and receive and give. And people may say, no, we try to give anyway. And by so doing, in Prabhupada's words, it creates an atmosphere of auspiciousness for the whole human society. I have a little video clip. Maybe I'll show it. I'll lend it to somebody so you can show it to others. This is Prabhupada in the Henry Street, Brooklyn Temple, 1972 or 3, something like that. There's a little video clip of Prabhupada speaking. I was in the audience. I remember the discussion. He was describing how the Hare Krishna movement began during this one little video clip. It's 3 minute, 4 minutes thing. And it was the chanting of the holy name. And just not the whole 3-4 minutes, but he was saying in the beginning there was nothing. There was no organization, there was no structure, but there was the holy name. And in New York, it's not a city of piety. It's a different kind of place. But his mission was to give Krishna consciousness. So he just propagated the holy name. And he moved his hands like this and said, it created an atmosphere of auspiciousness. Then he said a few times, people may not even have heard, or they may have heard. Then another time, they may have understood, they may have not understood. They may have appreciated, they may not have appreciated. But he had faith in the name, and it created an atmosphere of auspiciousness in a place of inauspiciousness. He said at the beginning, I didn't even have a drum. It had no mridanga, then we had a little drum and kartals, that was it. Nothing. But it created auspiciousness. Then he said, and we didn't even have prasadam distribution. And then came dancing and said, Brahmananda and Achyutananda, they were our first dancers. Some of you may remember, he was looking around the room. devotee followers of Srila Prabhupada have faith in the Bhagavatam and its message, and our founder Acharya's example of propagating the message of the Bhagavatam, starting with the name and the book itself. We're very interested in receiving and giving. Exactly what Prabhupada was told by Bhaktisiddhanta. Go to the West, twice. Go to the West, give this message of Lord Chaitanya. It will be simultaneously good for you and good for them. Very simple. So our mission is the same, to assist our founder Acharya. Receive and give. Receive and give. You can't give what you don't have, so make sure you receive it nicely. And then you can give it nicely. And that addresses the root of the whole situation. That's the advice of the sages to Dhruva. Dhruva, remember, you're a devotee. Dhruva, chant the name, and you'll be protected. Everything will be all right. You're dear to Krishna, chant his name, he'll protect you. Everything will be all right. Smartavya satatam vishnor vismartavya najata chit. And the best way to remember is chant the holy name. Is there any discussion? Yes. Right behind you. Just right behind you. Hand the microphone to right behind you. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Last time when you came, you talked about ISKCON 100 years. As Christian progresses, so
I spoke about what? ISKCON
100 years.
ISKCON, last time when I was here. Okay.
So like you were telling.
Read Prabhupada's books.
Yeah. So like, on one hand, we see that there is some. So we are not taking seriously the reading of Prabhupada books. On the other hand, we say 10,000 years of pilgrimage. So the dilution is happening.
The sound is terrible. You do without the microphone. Let me hear you. You have a good voice, right?
Yes.
So speak loud. Not the whole thing.
So the dilution is happening on one side.
Louder.
Dilution.
No, I don't want everybody to hear, so speak louder.
So last time when you came, Maharaj,
No, not the whole thing. Just the last part, please.
so 100 years.
100 years? Some people are reading, some people not reading. Now what?
As the dilution is happening, how do we see that it is carried forward to 10,000 years?
10,000 years. You're greedy. If you do it nicely for how old are you? 30? 34. So supposing you live to be 84. Another 50 years. You'll be around for ISKCON 100 plus. If you and others like you who are of similar age continue to do that, it's much more likely that we'll experience the 10,000 year break. Because this presentation that you're referring to that I made during my previous visit, there was a study of what helps to continue or not any organization that is started by a great spiritual leader. And it's rootedness in the teachings. So if you and others in the room that are of this generation age as you actually do it, that's a good groundwork for continuing. Now, it's Kali Yuga and anything could happen after 100 years. But lay the foundation carefully. Take it seriously. and encourage others to similarly take it seriously. And that's the best step today to help it for the next 10,000 years. Do it for the next 50. Starting, today and tomorrow and the next day. There are, not just me, but there are many persons in the Hare Krishna movement that are taking that same message seriously, for their own spiritual elevation and the preservation of ISKCON, reading Prabhupada's books carefully. I mentioned it last night. Reading groups. I mean, two personalities that I have relationships with that are really into this are Vaisheshika Prabhu and Keshava Bharati Maharaj. Keshava Bharati Maharaj shared with me, he has a reading group of, I don't know, it's at least 3,000 every day. Maybe it's 5,000 every day, whatever. I don't know how they do it technology-wise. But there's small groups and big groups and people that are really interested in getting the spiritual benefit, and just even for that reason alone, it helps preserve ISKCON, because there are lots of people that don't know what's in Prabhupada's books. And they come along and take part in Krishna consciousness, and they may even get initiated, and they still don't know what's in Prabhupada's books, and they feel entitlement to go this way, that way, and the other way, without really knowing the instructions of our founder Acharya, and it starts to fracture. That's what history shows. Splinter groups, it's called. There's one of them right here in Bangalore. And they're spending their tentacles all around the world, for your information. So, what's in Prabhupada's books? And so forth. So, continue. Take it seriously, receive and give. And, share with others. It's nice to share with others. You don't have to be like a, super sadhu. Just have to be one that likes reading Prabhupada's books with other devotees that like to read Prabhupada's books and try to understand it. And try to apply it in life and share with others. Very simple, very lovely. Anything else? Yeah.
Maybe two questions. One is this last line of Romapada. This seems to be very intriguing.
Yes, it is.
Like he's a perfected soul, and he committed an activity of killing many yamshas for just for one yamsha to kill his mother. So we are taught that as Vaishnavas, if we do commit mistakes, we have to have regret for it. And in this concept, we don't see Ruva having any regret for it.
Well, we don't hear it. It's not in the text, but that doesn't mean he's not regretting. A Vaishnava is a Vaishnava is a Vaishnava is a Vaishnava. Next question.
So this is slightly connected to yesterday's key point, the mode of activity of devotional service.
Yeah, Prahlad. Yeah.
Prahlad Maharaj, because Mahaprabhu Prahlad and Dhruva. I'd like to hear more when you said the word the mode of activity, which means what's in the heart of Prahlad Maharaj that you were enthusiastic about to share? Something that you could elaborate more on that?
Well, it's sure, but I'll keep it simple. It's in chapter 10, text 5 and 6, around that place. He knows, even before Lord Nrsingadev, the end of chapter 9 says, I want to give you benediction. He knew it was coming. And it was, no thank you. And then it came at the end of chapter 9, and he said, no thank you. He said not only no thank you, but he said, there's nothing else between us but you're the master, I'm the servant, and there's nothing else. So, what's the motivation that's in the heart of someone who's pure, like Prahlad? Service. And the service can look like this, the service can look like that. For those that are conditional, it has to look like this. And if it looks like that, then just as we heard yesterday evening in the question answer discussion, one gets very involved in the, adjusting things and the problem, the moving part of service, losing the unmoving part of service. I just want to be in service to you. So that's the quality that Prahlad has. There's nothing else. I'll give a little example and then see if there's some other questions. One devotee was asking, here's a problem. What do you recommend? What are some possible recommendations for a solution to the problem? And so when you're a counselor, it's best not to micromanage the lives of those who you're counseling. Rather, help them understand how to make wise decisions about how to adjust themselves to life. So I said, here's some options. And which one seems most suitable or resonates with you the most? And then it was, I like that one. So then I cautioned, don't just go do that one. That's the doership mentality. And then you lose the sense of connection with Krishna and yourself, who you really are. This foundational, there's nothing else between us program of Prahlad. Stay mindful always of your relationship with Krishna, and the best way to do that is like Prahlad. He feels deep gratitude to Narada. How can I, when this is chapter 9, how can I accept something and abandon Narada? Now, Lord Sringadev wasn't saying abandon Narada, but he was anticipating if I get something, then I could abandon Narada and go, be happy with doing that something that's nice. The mentality, the consciousness, that profound core of Prahlad, because that's your question, came as a result of what he had received from Narada. He can never leave Narada or that which he received from Narada and go off and, do some nice service. Not possible. The moving part of devotional, the bhakti is there, and the non-moving part is fixed for a person like Narada, a person like Prahlad. Therefore, he's one of the Mahajans. And we can learn from him the mode of activity of pure devotion from Prahlad, his teachings, his prachar, and his achar. You have something? Yeah.
As you spoke about taking shelter of the holy name.
About the?
Taking shelter of the holy name.
Taking shelter of the holy name, yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on that aspect?
You want to hear more on that?
What exactly?
What exactly?
What should we do to take shelter of the
It means service to the name. Service to Krishna and service to the name are non-different. So how do we get access to service to Krishna? Through service to the name. Taking shelter of the name is taking shelter of the mood of service to the name. And our life becomes service to the name. Not like It's a means to get something else. It's our life, service to the name. And that is service to Krishna. And Krishna becomes revealed through service to the name. The form of Krishna, here's the deity form of Krishna. And how many of us, maybe some of our pujaris, but how many of the rest of us see the deity form as Krishna himself? We have faith in the deity worship process, but how much realization do we have? Probably modest, if that. Doesn't diminish our faith, but it's just a stage of what our faith is. So how to grow that so it becomes more? Well, it's service to the name. And then service to the name, including for our pujaris. It's service to the deity through the agency of service to the name, because what access do we have? Where did the deity worship come from? It's from the chanting of the name. Where do all the other processes of bhakti come from? It's the name. So service to the name is taking shelter of the name. I just looked at my watch, and it's 9:25. I think we're going to end. One more question, that's it. Which one?
Gun violence.
Gun violence.
So if we go to the solution of
If you go where?
giving the solution of Krishna today, the root problem. So
You have to do it expertly. You can't just like wave a banner and say, Krishna.
So there are two possibilities. First is that they are not ready for Krishna. Second is that they are looking for the immediate solution to their immediate problem. So how do we handle that?
Yeah, it depends on the person, depends on you. There's no simple solution. But if your consciousness is, yes, it is a problem, and, not but, and the root of the problem needs to be addressed, otherwise you haven't solved the problem. If you have that conviction in your heart, then depending upon the audience, you can address the audience, the individual or groups of individuals or whatever. It's not an easy take, McDonald's. I was shocked when I saw in the Delhi airport, this is, some number of years ago, a McDonald's in the Delhi airport. And just yesterday we were driving and passed by, a very prominent shopping area, and there's a McDonald's, and all kinds of people gathered around inside the McDonald's doing where's this going? I mean, next thing you know, it'll be in Tirupati or something. I mean, so we have to do something. We can't just go throw a rock through the McDonald's window or something. I know somebody that did that. They got arrested. They threw a brick through a hamburger franchise place. They got arrested. Not going to stop the hamburger franchise business. It's a big problem. And the sinful activities are accumulating, and they got to go somewhere. So we have concern, but we have to express that real concern with a real solution. So, my dear gun violence advocate, curbing gun violence advocate, is it really going to, so we do the other thing later, we have to do this right now, because it's out of control. anyway, we have to propagate Krishna consciousness or Bhagavad Dharma in Kali Yuga. And if the desire is strong to do so and the conviction is strong, Krishna will give you the intelligence in different situations what to do. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.